Oh, look at the babies. All the babies. Brutus, Spicy, Emo, and that's Bubbles in the back. Welcome to Misfit Mutts Garage. Tonight, we're working on Matt's Wolseley Hornet, which somebody has put a mid-80s Metro 1275 in it with a bunch of fun little mods. So it's got some crazy alloy rockers in there. It's got compression of 225 psi per cylinder. It's got an HIF 44 on it. And as of tonight, it's got a new electronic distributor in it. So we're here taking it apart for several reasons. One, this thing, although a high compression 1275, is slow. Very slow. The cheapest chips, 1275, beats it no problem. It's way torqueier. I can let the clutch out on flat ground in Spicy and she moves off. This one, not so much. So started digging here, digging there. So I had to take the radiator out to put a new fan on her, doing an alternator upgrade I'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, so it was like checking things out. Is the alternator bad enough where it's causing too much drag? How about the water pump? Yeah, anything at this point. You know, I knew the ignition timing base was set. I knew it was set within reason. It's still got a standard needle in the carburetor. It should act reasonable. Digging around. Everything seemed fine. And decided to check base timing again. Plugged everything in. Cranked her up. Blipped the throttle. And the ignition started to retard. It's supposed to advance when you floor it. And I know there's a little bit of, you know, retard before advance, depending on the vacuum signals it sees. But this one was just, only went one direction. Not sure what was going on in the old distributor. But put the new distributor in. She fired up better. She seemed to idle better. And she revved a lot easier. And the timing went in the correct direction. Half a second or so of retard timing before it advanced beautifully and advanced a lot. So it was really good, really happy, really excited to put this back together and see how well she runs. So here is the alternator upgrade I'm talking about. On the right here, we have the old beast. Turns smoothly, runs nicely, but does not produce voltage at high RPMs. She goes from 12.5-ish at idle down to about 11.5-ish when you accelerate her up about 4,000 RPM. So she's garbage. So we moved on to one of these puppies. This is your generic GM small alternator, available through such websites as that Jungle one, for fairly inexpensive. And I've had this mod done on a couple of my cars. They work beautifully and free up a few horsepower in the process. So I will walk you through how to do it, where you need to chop, where you need to drill, and how you wire it up. Today, we're in the basement with the milling machine. And as you can see, we have the alternator in there. We've got to chop down this flange here to about 5/8 of an inch wide to align the pulleys. Very important job, kind of time consuming, slow going, and yes, I know all you machinists out there, I've put an end mill in a drill truck. Sorry, but when you don't have the right collet, you do what you have to do. off the alternator, we've checked to make sure that the pulley's nice and aligned. So now I'm going to continue on with this. So the plan is, got some materials, and we're going to send a bolt all the way through to this back hanger and use a piece of pipe to take up the slack between, so that the water pump doesn't take all of the force of hanging this little alternator off it, the thing which could snap this ear off. The alternator, the bracket, the bolt I chose, the nut to go with it. See, it's kind of a cool little locking jobby, and a drill bit to drill these all out. So I'll drill this out, that out, and the water pump out to make sure this all fits nice and tight, rotates smoothly, and is nicely aligned. So come along for the ride. And then put everything you took apart back together. Make sure you deburr the holes. You cut yourself. Cool little tools. Very, very handy. It's all got a deburring tool. So for this, I like to slide the bolt through so that I can get this positioned properly. And of course, I'm trying to hold everything at once, like a goob. There we go. That goes in there like that. Goes on there, like that. Use a nut. Don't slide anywhere. You know, 1950s British technology. It's kind of what it is. Alright, so now we need a tube to go here to here so that this ear doesn't snap off from just the loads. So we've taken the torque load out of it. It's not going to float around this way. But now I want to take some of the compressive force out of it as we tighten this up. It's also going to try to twist this. So put a little tube in there, should be good to go. Tube. Mark. All good. Now I've got a tubing cutter that I'll probably just use to mark it. That's walking on me. Not good. Cheap, cheerful, whatever. Cut it with a bandsaw. See? Shorter. Hey, Bella. Hey, Bella, Bella. How you doing? Say hi to Matt. Say hi to Matt. I'm polishing your shaft, Matt. You know, make sure it's nice and polished up. Looks shiny, shiny in the engine bay. And here we go. Installation. So it goes alternator with the bolt. Goes in. Then the little tube that I made a little extra too long. Matt, your shaft is too big. Alright, hold on. I don't want to deal with that. Back and forth and back and forth. Apparently, it's still too big. Okay. There we go. Nice tight fit. Alright, let's try this again. final setup here is different than on my other block. And we can fix it, that's for sure. It's just I must have taken more off the alternator, but this is lined up. So, order a longer bolt. Alright team, if you're playing along, I'm about to cheat. I'm going to shorten the tube down a little bit and enlarge the holes on the bracket a little bit, shift everything over a little bit so that it all works and we don't have to completely re-engineer everything in here, or put the alternator back in the milling machine, because I really don't want to do that. This is all nicely aligned. Alright team, going the other way. I'm going to put this on this way, and then this, and then put the whole thing in here, that way. Now, a couple things you can do. One is that you can now take the alternator off without taking the whole bolt out, which I think is going to be an issue in my other car, because I did it the other way around. That's looking better. Now it's coming up into the lock portion of the bolt. Means this won't vibrate off as we're traveling down the road. Apparently also provides the perfect torque for holding it all in place. So, wins all around. Now the belt you'll need, I hope it's the same as my other car, is a 15330 Duralast, and if it all went well, then I can slide this puppy in here around that and get it on that correct. That looks good. All right, let's get a new fan. So, Matt's old fan, Matt's new fan. Love the colors. So, new one does not have a marking for which side is which. The old one has nothing on that side. Engine side printed on the pretty side. So, let's make sure. Yep, same cross section. So there you go. Quick and easy way. Don't look at the curvature of your fan blades and whether you have the optimal direction. Just look to see if the pretty side is facing the motor. See that? Bad. All right. So, some bolts, spacer. All right. Pretty side towards motor. So on, that's on. I'm doing good. All right. So now we can set belt tension-ish. Water pump's driving again. Alternator's installed. Thread sticking through to the lock nut portion. We'll give it one more little tight just to feel better about ourselves. And now we need to make the secondary tightening adjustment, which is underneath. And this guy seems like it's going to be way too small. So we're going to have to make some stuff happen. So let me show you the problem we've got down here. Is in there, if you can see it, it's the mounting nut. And way up here is the securing stud. And the factory guy goes on here, does not reach. So what I have to do is drop that on the floor a couple times and lengthen it. So it's going to go up here. I'm going to have to build a bar from over there to over here. Probably just weld something on. So here is a piece of stock that I prepared earlier with a hole in the end. So I put this onto the old mounting point. I put this so it's arc matched the arc of where the alternator was going to spin, and I clamped it in place. So now I'm going to do a little bit of welding, this to that, and lop this end off. And I probably won't paint it because I know I'll be back in there at some point for something. We'll make it pretty once it works. So come along. Finished product. Nice, strong, no vibrations, alternator mount with, can you see in there? Factory-like adjustability. Very happy with that. Hopefully Matt will be as well. All right, next up, alternator. Should I wire it or should I put the radiator back in? I'll put the radiator back in so I can test my alternator when I wire it. Thanks for joining us for part 1 of the Brutus build. We're going to take this sweet little car, prep it for Matt to take the track and abuse, find the limits, have a ton of fun, and see where we can improve. Join us for part 2 soon. Thanks for joining. Bye.